Hello and welcome to everyone. My guest today is JC Llamas, MMA fighter, BKFC fighter, boxer, but a lot more than that. So, can you please put a brief introduction? Can you please say everything you wrote in the messages for the introduction to say who you are exactly? And then we will go with questions, proceed. We will talk about all aspects of your life. Please go for it.
Okay, well, my name is JC Llamas. I'm Mexican. I was born in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, Mexico. I live in Bakersfield, California, and I'm a fighter and a musician and everything.
It's outstanding, really outstanding. When did you start training MMA?
I started training MMA maybe 9 years ago, uh, but prior to that, I started doing Jiu Jitsu for 5 months and a half. And the reason I did MMA is because my grandma was sick. She got cancer, and we had to buy medicine to pay for her cancer treatment. And I didn't know how to fight MMA. I only did 5 months and a half with Jiu-Jitsu. I did my first professional fight MMA with 5 months and a half of Jiu-Jitsu. I needed money for medicine, so I did the fight, and I ended up winning. And after that, I was like, what? I want to start doing MMA.
Outstanding story. Can we discuss your nickname?
My nickname is the Leg Lock Monster. The Leg Lock Monster because I do a lot of leg locks, I guess. And in bare knuckle is the king is back. Because I feel right now in this moment of my life, my career, in the welterweight division, I don't think there's no one person in the world that can defeat me. So I feel the king has returned.
Outstanding. Who are your coaches?
But I have a jiu-jitsu coach. His name is Fabiano Hija and Tommy Leto. They help me with my training, but they have their separate academy. Fabiano has his academy in LA, and Tommy Leto has his academy here in Bakersfield, but he focused more in jiu-jitsu. I also have my own academy, and we do training. Basically, I educate myself on what to train, what to learn, what to do, and then I teach my students how to do it, and they do match with me. They help me with my training. So I'm kind of like my own coach, but I also have two coaches that help me to go to my corners, to go to my fights in my corner, Fabiano Hija and Tommy Little.
All right. So I assume your fundamental or basic martial art is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right?
It will be capoeira. I'm big capoeira. Yes. My whole life, I've been doing professional break. Well, I don't do it no more, but I used to be a professional break dancer back in the days for like my whole life. So I started doing a lot of tricks, acrobatics, capoeira. It was more like a show for the people that I was working for. I was working in a hotel company, and I was traveling every 6 months to different parts of the world to do break dancing and capoeira and flips and acrobatics. So whenever I moved to the U.S., I started learning jiu-jitsu, but it became really easy to me because my acrobatics, my athleticism with capoeira. But I would say my main thing was probably my capoeira kicks, and after that, my jiu-jitsu.
All right, I need to ask you one very hard question. I watched many capoeira guys in MMA, and my thoughts, I'm a Taekwondo black belt. I think capoeira kicks are very, very powerful if you know to feel the moment, to utilize them well. Do you agree or disagree with me?
I 100% agree. It's all about momentum, positioning, and right timing to make a harder impact. And I totally agree with that. 100% agree with that.
I respect capoeira a lot. You know, people think capoeira is a very, very weak martial art, but I heavily disagree with that, especially because of their transitions and so on. It has positive effect on the ground game, and I think capoeira is a lot more than just a martial art.
For me, capoeira, it was like, I guess, for me, when I first started, it was like the best way to generate money. But then when I transitioned capoeira and I started implementing jiu-jitsu, boxing to my capoeira, I was like I didn't know how to utilize it properly back in the days. I didn't know how whenever I first started fighting because I didn't have guidance, proper guidance. But on the last maybe like 4 or 5 years of my career, let's say the last 4 years of my career, I started seeing it better. Like I can start seeing like, okay, if I can throw like a setup in a boxing, like a combo, I know he's gonna duck or I know he's gonna lean back. That's when I can throw my meia lua, my capoeira kicks. I can start using all my techniques like judo, my wrestling, my boxing, my MMA, my basically everything I have in my arsenal. And for the last 4 or 5 years, I'm just getting better and better. And so that's why I have so much confidence right now. I can literally fight anybody in the world in the welterweight division and come victorious.
Did you have amateur fights or you kicked off with professional bouts immediately?
Zero amateur fights. 5 months and a half with Jiu Jitsu. I was still a white belt in Jiu Jitsu, and I did my first professional fight. Now, when my first professional fight, it was in an Indian reservation in here in California. So in the Indian reservation, you don't need to go through all the screening. Like you don't need to get your professional license. You don't need to get all of that because it's an Indian reservation. I guess they probably changed the rules now, but back in the days, you don't need anything, not even blood work. So, but it's considered as a professional fight because the Indian reservation, they have their own rules, I guess. It's their own little country. But now, I guess the only thing you need is blood work, and they're sanctioned now through the athletic commission. But before it was sanctioned through the athletic commission, but you didn't need anything. So my first fight was professional fight.
So how did it end, your first professional fight?
My fight is in YouTube. You guys can see it. I fought a guy named Gabriel Gill. Now, the reason it happened, I ended up winning by unanimous decision. But it was a story because I used to work Italian cable, and then I got paid that day, and then I sent money to my family back in Mexico. And then like 2 days later, my mom called me and told me like, hey, your grandma is sick. We need to pay money for the hospital. They're going to kick her out if we don't pay the remaining balance. So I started asking all my friends, like, hey, can I borrow some money? I needed $500. None of my friends have $500. Like everybody like was broke. So I started asking everybody. And I remember one guy, his name's Paul Gonzalez. He had a boxing and MMA gym here in Bakersfield. And I asked him, hey, bro, can I borrow some money? And he said, bro, I have no money, but there's a fight at Eagle Mountain Casino this Saturday. And if you win, they pay $300 to show, $300 to win. So that's $600. So if you win, that's your money right there. And I was like, okay, how does that work? And he said, well, you have to make sure you make weight. The guy is fighting, his name is Gabriel Gill, but he's going back down. And he was having some of his fighters from his team in that event. Told me like, if you fight, I can put you in the fight. And I have like two guys fighting from me in the event, so I can corner you. And I was like, but I don't really know how to fight. I don't really know MMA. I only know Jiu Jitsu. But on my head, I was like, I can just take him down and submit him or whatever. You know, that was my idea. But I only have 5 months and a half for Jiu Jitsu. Like, my Jiu Jitsu wasn't that good. And whenever he told me that, he told me like, but you have to be 170. So we checked my weight. I was 197. 197 pounds. So I had to lose 27 pounds in 3.5 days. So I was like, dude, like, how can I do that? He told me like, oh yeah, you can do it, bro. You just like do a lot of running and get like a trash bags, like a sauna suit, and then just run. And I was like, well, so I started watching YouTube videos how to lose weight, and I see some people that was able to lose that much weight. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let me do it. So sign me up. So he signed me up. That's how I lose like 2 in those 3 days. Eat anything for 3 days, just a little bit of water, just to know. But it was the thing I ever done, but I had a reason why to do it. I grew up with my grandma, so she was everything for me. So I ended up cutting the weight, made weight, and I went to the fight with no experience, zero experience, just 5.5 months of jiu-jitsu. So when I saw the guy, like, if you see the fight on YouTube with JC Llamas versus Gabriel Gill, give it a look. It's crazy because I'm swinging like this the whole fight, and I was kicking. I didn't know how to use my capoeira kick in a real fight. I thought if I throw a flying kick, I'm probably gonna fall and he's gonna beat up. So I tried to hold back on my kicks because I didn't know how to use it in an actual fight. And so then we start going. 30 seconds into the first round, I was super tired, like my everything, like I was done, like I didn't have enough energy to continue. My nutrition was garbage. I didn't know how to cut weight. What to hydrate? Whenever I want to hydrate, I get chicken wings and a soda. That's hydrated because I didn't have nobody to tell me Pedialyte. You need electrolytes. You need this to hydrate. You need all of that. I didn't have anybody to tell me how to do it. So my hydration recovery was terrible. Next day, I was punching, fighting, swinging. I got tired in the first 30 seconds. I didn't want to fight no more. I was done. But on my head, I was thinking like, if I quit right now, to help my grandma, I won. Like, and I'm gonna regret this for the rest of my life. So I continue. I keep going. I keep swinging. I didn't care how, but I just keep swinging. And I had a really weird movement. My whole life, I had a weird movement. My opponents, they can't hit me too much because my movement is weird, or I'm probably too quick for them. So he was throwing punches like a very proper technique. The guy was throwing amazing punches, but he was missing. He was missing all of them. And the second round came in. He threw a little jab. He clipped me right here a little bit, and I started bleeding crazy. Like, a little cut me open. Why? It was his professional MMA fight, but he had at least like 8 years as a professional boxer, and he was undefeated in boxing. Like all his opponent knocked out first round. So he got heavy hands in boxing. Just imagine in MMA with his hook. A lot more power. So whenever he touched me, he cut me open. Boom. I started bleeding like crazy. A lot of blood was coming into my eyes. So every time I was doing this, my opponent used that to try to punch me. Every time I tried to clean my come forward and try to punch me. So second round passed. Third round we went at it. I was landing more. I was super tired. Like I couldn't breathe. I feel my heart coming out of my throat. I was like super exhausted. My hands were break. I couldn't pick up my hands. And I remember my opponent threw a body shot and delivered. And it made me spit my mouthpiece like, when my mouthpiece fell, I keep fighting, but the referee stopped the fight. And he's like, wait, put your mouthpiece. And he told me, if you spit your mouthpiece again, I'm going to take a point from you. I wanted to say, like, I spit the mouthpiece. This guy almost punched all out of me with that punch. It's not, I did it on purpose. Just put my mouthpiece and we kept swinging. And then third round over, and they got us in the corner, and the winner by unanimous decision, Llamas. So I was like, oh my God, thank God. Like I was so happy. And a lot of people started asking me like, how long you been fighting? And I was like MMA? Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 training. And I say 3, maybe 4. And they say years, and I say no. They say month? No, days. I just barely started this week. MMA, like, honestly, I don't know how to fight. I was saying, like, I don't know how to do MMA. I only did this because family emergency. A lot of people start telling me, like the guy that you fight, Gabriel Gill, he's well known here. Like, he's really good. He's a beast, and you beat him, bro. Like, without experience, like, that's impressive. I think you should train more so you can, like, continue to fight. So then I start thinking, like, you know what? I asked a lot of my friends for money, to borrow money. I've been working my whole life doing this, doing that, things that I don't really enjoy doing it. It's not like I have a passion for it to install cable or internet for people. It's not like my dream to be the best installer or internet installer in the world. I need to do something with my life. You know, I need to, like, focus, invest my time, my life in something that I love and something that I have passion for. And I think martial arts, MMA, Jiu Jitsu, and music, I think that's where I belong, man. So I started focusing more. Like, I started like educating myself, like what to eat, what not to eat, how to train, how to cut weight properly, how to throw punches, how to throw a jab, how to throw a cross, like understanding the fundamentals of martial arts. And then 1 year later, in that year, I was saving a lot of money. I was saving most of my money. I was saving it because I was gonna quit my job. I'm gonna quit my job in 1 year, and I'm gonna focus in MMA. I'm gonna train, get better. I wanna be the best ever. So I did. I trained. I quit my. I was going to school for engineer fiber optics. I was one of the best employees of my company, and one day I told him like, this is my 2 week notice. I'm gonna quit. I'm done with this. So I quit school. I quit work, and I started just focusing on my training, just like that. And then I did a big fight versus a guy named Joko Hamamura. He's a Japanese guy, like a really good fighter, undefeated. He won. He had Muay Thai, kickboxing, and MMA fights. He won all his fights, and they asked me if I want to fight him in a week notice, and I said yes, let's do it. I put a whipping on that guy, like 3 rounds. I knocked him out the third round. My cardio was a lot better. My technique was a lot better. It wasn't like perfect, but it was way better than when I started. And then one of the people that does I don't know if you're familiar with the Kardashians, the TV show The Kardashians.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. One of these people, they filmed The Kardashians. It's called Bunny Mary Productions. They do the reality TV series for them. They're the one that film. Those persons went to my fight, and they came up and talked to me and say like, hey, I love what you did. The fight was amazing, and we're doing a TV show, a TV reality show for MMA, for the best Hispanic fighters around the world, and I'm impressed with what you did. Because whenever I went to the fight, I went to fight on my opponent's territory. So whenever I walk in, 5,000 people, boo, boo, booing me whenever I walk into the cage. And 6 of my friends, go JC! And by the end of the third round, everybody, when I was punching, everybody, all the 5,000 people that was booing for me, they start cheering for me. They start going like, wow, yeah! That was the best fight of the night. The best fight of the night by far. So I gained 5,000 fans in that night. So then these people came up to me and told me about the reality show. And I was like, I'm down, let's do it. I'm freaking down. So whenever they told me that, they said, okay, we're going to get all the paperwork ready. We're going to have a lot of celebrities in the show. You know Daddy Yankee? Daddy Yankee, one of the singers, one of the most famous singers in the world, Daddy Yankee.
I've heard of.
You know the song?
I've heard. I've heard, but the problem is I know the song, you know. I don't know all the artists, but I know many songs. So I've heard that song, but I didn't know it's hers.
Okay, he's probably the most famous or one of the most famous artists right now in the world, Daddy Yankee. And he did a bunch of famous songs, Gasolina. Dame más gasolina. They play all his songs in all the movies. Anyway, so he was gonna be in the TV show too, in the reality show. Hoist Gracie, you know Hoist Gracie? He was gonna be in the show.
I'm MMA historian, man. I know every single fighter. I follow this sport since 1993, so I know every single fighter from the early age.
Oh, perfect. Okay, you know Roberto Abreu, Cyborg, another female fighter, the guy.
Yeah.
He was gonna be in the show too.
Of course.
He was in the show too. They brought Eddie Alvarez. They brought there was a lot of celebrities. Yeah, so like they have a lot of celebrities in the show. So whenever the show was getting ready, I was one of the first guys that they got for the show, and I guess they like my life story. Like they were asking me questions about my life and things like that. So I guess they like how I started the martial arts. So after that fight, they got me my information and everything, and they told us, in this day, we're going to fly to Miami, and we're going to stay there for like 2 months filming the show. I was like, let's do it. So whenever I was doing that, before we fly to Miami, I had a fight versus a guy named Curtis Millender. He was a UFC fighter. I don't know if you know Curtis Millender,
Of
like a
course
tall
I
black
do,
guy.
man. Of course I do.
Huh?
Curtis Millender is a former UFC fighter. Of course I do.
Okay. So I fought him. It was like a month before the reality show. We had a fight, and whenever we were fighting, I throw a right hand maker like nasty, and I landed right on the top of his head right here, like boom, and I broke my thumb. Like I broke it like bad, but I almost knocked him out with that punch. And I continued to fight, but I couldn't punch no more with my right hand, so I was mostly like throwing left hand, left hand. That was my first punch of the first round. First punch I throw, I broke my hand. First punch I landed. So I was like pissed because I was like, man, I can't keep punching. I punched a couple times, but I was just getting worse. Like I have no power in my right hand. And we kept going at it. We kept going at it. And he didn't really do anything. Like he was just like backing up, like punching and moving back. Like he didn't really want to exchange. And I didn't have power on my right hand. So when they got decision, and they given the decision to him, I felt I won that fight. I felt like I beat him on the points. I landed more punches. I was the one putting more pressure, but they gave it to him. It was I fought him on his hometown, so I felt that if I didn't knock him out, so maybe they were gonna give the win to him. So after that fight, they flew me to Miami with a broken hand, but I didn't tell the organization, the filming company, that I had a broken hand, because if I tell them that, they're gonna kick me out of the show, and I waited the whole year for that show. So we went to the show, and I made a custom cast. Like I had a cast from here to here. So what I did, I cut here, and I cut here and here, and I made like a little glove, and I put a jean glove on top of my cast, and I shaved the cast so it doesn't look too thick. So I always wear gloves, like a jean glove, in both of my hands for everything, like to go eat, to go wherever. And people start asking me, like, why are you wearing gloves? And I was like, I don't know, I just like wearing gloves. I didn't want to tell them that I have a broken thumb. So we got there, and the TV is called Combate Americas. They did the first reality show in Miami, and it was called Combate Americas, the reality TV show. And basically, I destroyed the show. I killed it. Like it was 11 challenges, and on the challenges, they find out who has the best kicks, the bestest, the fastest, who's the smartest, who has the best balance, who's the strongest, who has the best Jiu Jitsu, who has the best kickboxing. And example, they brought Roberto Abreu, Cyborg. He just won the Abu Dhabi on that year in China. He was the baddest jiu-jitsu fighter known in the world, like the baddest. So they brought him to the reality show, and we're supposed to fight him. The week before the fight, we were cutting weight, and so the challenge was that he was taking our back. He was in back control, kind of like a seatbelt position. Our job is to escape. His job is to choke us out. So we see who lasts the longest. We cannot attack him. We cannot fight him. We only have to defend and escape. That was the only thing we can do. So I was like, can we attack? And they told us, like, come on, you're going to attack Cyber? I was like, yeah, why not? Yeah, he's the best in the world. And I told him, like, because he has to go against me, that's why he's the best in the world. But can we attack? And they say, no, just defend and escape. So he choked everybody out. He choked everybody in like 10 seconds, 20 seconds. One guy lasts 1 minute. And I was on the seatbelt position. He got my back. 3 minutes and a half, he couldn't do nothing. And then I tripped him, push him, and escape. Like nothing. I last 3 minutes and a half, and I escaped. I was the only one that was able to escape. So whenever all the fighters, they saw that I escaped, that Cyber couldn't do nothing to me, even though he had my back and position, that messed up with their heads. They're like, if he couldn't do nothing to Jason, what we can do to him if we take him to the ground? Exactly. So they start thinking like, oh, we screwed. So, but I still have my broken thumb. So we went to the fight, and I fought in the finals. And we went at it. We started swinging like crazy. Boom, 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 boom. I took him down the first round to my opponent, ground and pound him for like 4 minutes. Pa, 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 pa. He got up at the end of the round, and then we continued. The second round, It was pretty even. Like, he didn't take me down, I didn't take him down. It was pretty even. The third round, I punched him, I dropped him, and I took him down. And I punched him a little bit. He got up. He punched me. It was back and forth, but I knocked him down, and I took him down. So in my head, I won. I won the contract. I was gonna get like $100,000 contract with Combat Americas, and I won the reality show. Out of 11 challenge, I won 8 first place, and I got 3 challenge second place. So I left my competition behind, and so I was so confident that I won the fight. And whenever they say, "and the winner by United T-shirt," I raised my hand. I was so happy. And they say, "Danny," I was like, "What? How's that possible? How did he win?" So I was so upset. I was pissed about it. And he ended up winning. Then somebody told me, like, the reason why they gave him the win to him is because they want to make a second season, Team Llamas versus Team Morales, like you and your opponent. Everybody knew. Oh, they almost kicked me out of the show whenever they found out that my hand was broken. Like, they figured out that my hand was broken. They said, like, "Well, we cannot have you fight like that." And I was like, "Well, I already won all the challenge. Like, I grappled with Cyborg. I did all of this. Like, what is different? Like, I can fight." And they told me, "Yeah, but we cannot." So at the end of the day, they let me fight. So they say, if you won all the challenges with a broken hand, and you definitely beat Danny in the final, but we give the win to him. Just imagine the second season. People want to see that. People want to see how would you do with a healthy hand. Llamas versus Danny. So in the final, like second season, maybe a fight, maybe for the better, maybe title fight. I don't know. So I was like, that's messed up because it's messing up with my record. It's messing up with my career. Like, nobody want to take a loss just to get views and numbers on TV. I'd rather have my integrity as a fighter rather than have money and fame. So I was like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. So I supposed to fight him again. He found out that my hand was broke time, and he didn't want to fight me the next time. Like, we signed a contract and everything, and then whenever it was time to fight, he chickened out. 3 times they give him a game another day. The show canceled because we were the main event. And then the third time again, nothing. His name is Danny Morales. Danny, if you see this someday, we have things to talk about. We got a fight that we have to fix. And so he never wanted to fight me. I guess right now he's doing kickboxing or Muay Thai in Glory, something like that. And but he never wanted to fight me after that. Then I got a contract with the organization, but for like 18 months, all my fights keep canceling. Like, all my opponents keep getting injured or something happened and the fight never happened. So after that, I fight in Bellator. After that, I fight in Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Can you please speak about Bellator fight, please? Your Bellator fight, then proceed to Bare Knuckle. What happened in your Bellator fight?
Okay, whenever I fight, Pedro Emelianenko is one of my idols. He's like one of the guys that I always look up to, like one of my favorite fighters. I went to a Jiu Jitsu tournament. This is how it happened. I went to a Jiu Jitsu tournament, and I think it was Worlds. I'm not sure if it was Worlds or not, but it was a tournament. And me and this guy, we have a little, no beef, but like a competition beef. Like, I love this guy. He's amazing. Like, I love grapple with him because he always give me really good challenge. And I beat him, and he beat me before. So we were fighting, and he threw a triangle on me, and I pulled back. And whenever I pulled back, my rib cage, it kind of no broke, but something popped on my rib cage. And I was breathing, and my opponent, he told me, "Bro, something popped, like I heard it." And the referee was like, "Yeah, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. And just continue, I'm fine." I didn't want to, like, I'm no punk. I never pull out of a fight. So I continued to fight. He still had the triangle set up, another triangle finish with the triangle set up, and then he swept me. And whenever he swept me, he landed on top of me, and just hear like, my rib cage broke. Like, two rib cages fractured, boom. And I don't even know how that happened because it was just a movement. Like I just pull back, but I rotate and he pull me. And prior to that I was boxing and sparring, but I didn't got hurt. So whenever I was doing the jiu-jitsu tournament, that thing just happened. And then whenever he landed on top of me and that thing cracked, they stopped the fight right away. Like he didn't even finish the fight. Like, he didn't even say, okay, I got you, nothing. Like it cracked, the referee stopped it, and I was like, oh, I was in pain, so much pain. And so he won. He ended up winning by default because I couldn't continue. And then 2 days later after the fight, Bellator called me and they say like, we have a big fight. We have Federer Emelianenko fighting in Bellator, and I think it's gonna be his last fight. And we're looking for somebody to be in the fights. And like they offered me the fight, and the fight is gonna be in 3 weeks. And I was like, man, I can't fight like this. But I didn't tell them that I have a broken rib. And I was like, I didn't want to lose the opportunity to fight in the same card as Fedor Emelianenko. I was like, I want to fight this. Yeah, sign me up. Against who? And they told me a guy named James Terry, some guy I guess he's like a wrestler, but he's also a black belt in jiu-jitsu or something. I think at that time he was a brown belt, just like me. Yeah, they told me about my opponent. His name is James Terry. So I investigated, and he was a brown belt. And I was like, okay, I'm a brown belt, but the difference between his brown belt and my brown belt, I was a world-class competition brown belt, and he doesn't really compete in jiu-jitsu. So I know my jiu-jitsu was way better than his, by far. My boxing wasn't there yet. I was still learning how to box, but my jiu-jitsu was decent, really good. My cardio was decent. The only problem I had in that fight is that if he would have landed one punch on my rib, one kick, the fight would be over. That was my only concern, because I had two fractured ribs on my left. It was my left side. I still have the bone sticking out on this one. I never got it fixed. And so then, so I said, yeah, let's do it.
Sorry, don't take it personally, please, but it's kind of, ribs.
Yeah, but like it's normal to me, but whenever my friends see me with that shirt, they see my bone right here, and they're like, what is that? I was like, oh, I broke a rib doing jiu-jitsu fights, and I never got it fixed, and I keep fighting with it, so it just got out of place, and it's fine, but it's fine right now. It doesn't hurt. And so I took the fight, and 3-week notice, and so we went to the fight, and I put a whooping on that guy, man. I put a whooping. He took me down one time, and the moment he took me down, I got him in a heel hook. Like, the moment I hit the floor, I got him in a heel hook right away. Boom. He started running for his life. He got up, and after that, he didn't want to take me down no more. I took him down with one of my favorite sweeps. I call it the Llamas sweep. The Llamas sweep. I threw a high right cross, and whenever I threw a right cross, they lean back, and I sweep him with my right leg. Boom. On the leg. So he fell right on his butt. And he got up. We started punching. He couldn't hit me. We had Chael Sonnen announcing the fight. He was like talking about my fight. He was saying the whole time. You can see James Terry. He's very frustrated because he can't hit JC Llamas. He can't hit him. He's getting very frustrated. And whenever I attack him, I did a combination of like 7 to 10 punches forward. Boom, 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 boom. And out of those 7 or 8 punches that I throw, I landed at least like 3 to 5 punches. So I was connecting. On the second round, he was so cold. Like, oh yeah. On the second round, he went for a takedown, and his forehead hit me in the nose right here. And I start bleeding like crazy. It didn't hurt. It was just, it looks bad. But whenever he went for a takedown, you can see in the video, like, my nose is stopping from the takedown. Like, he boom, smash, and then my nose will start bleeding. But I didn't get hit. Like, my face clean. Just my nose was bloody, messy, not blessing. I mean, bloody mess. We continued to fight, and I was jabbing him, throwing crosses, uppers, hooks. His face was so cut open. Here, his nose, his lip, his face. And then on the third round, he was so desperate. And he started doing this whenever we were fighting. And in the video, if you can see it, you can go to YouTube, you can see him. All of this got inside my eye. He did this deep. I ended up getting surgery for my eye because of that. Like, he scratched my pupil in my eyes. He poked like his whole finger inside my eye, and then the referee stopped the fight. And then the doctor came and started checking me. I didn't want to quit. He asked me, how many fingers you see? He told me to cover one of my eyes, and the eye that he didn't poke, I was able to see fine. He was like that, and I said 2, 3, cover the other one, the one that he poked. So I was watching with the one that he poked, and I couldn't see clearly, but I kind of see a silhouette. I kind of see like some of the fingers. So he said, like, he put the hands, and I said 3, do it again, and he went like this, and like this, and I said 3, and he's like, no, he can't see. I was like, what do you mean? No, don't stop it. And he stopped the fight. If you see the video, he says, how many fingers did you see? 3. Like right when I say 3, he does this. Like he changed it to 2. 3. And he said, like, that's it, he can't see.
I saw the video actually.
Wrong. I entered one wrong.
I saw the video actually, but I didn't know the real reason why it was stopped. But I actually saw the video and I saw you were arguing. But I understand now why. It's completely fair from your side.
And I told him, like, I can fight. Like, I have one eye. I'm fine. I can fight. And then I ended up having surgery. I didn't tell this anybody because I didn't want people to ask me for like a eye exam every time I fight. I ended up getting surgery on my eye because of that shit. And my opponent, James Terry, he started saying like, he quit, he's a quitter, he didn't want to fight. Like, why I didn't want to fight if I'm whooping your ass? Like, I cut him open, I was landing more punches. If you count the whole fight, how many punches he landed, how many punches I landed, and who lose more bloody, I win by far. Like, I tripled the amount of punches that he landed. So and on top of that, they gave the win to him by technical decision. And we were fighting in Sacramento. That's where he's from. So we're fighting in Sacramento, and he's from Sacramento. The doctor from Sacramento. The judges are from that area. So I was super pissed about it. And so I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'm not gonna kill myself for this. There's no way I can fix this, because that's what happened when you fight a local guy with local judges. Like, that's the story of my life. Like, all my fights that I have lost, I never been submitted, I never been knocked out, I never been finished. It's because the stupid doctor stopped the fight. I'm not saying stupid doctor, but the doctors that I had on my fights, they were kind of biased. So the doctor stopped the fight, or the judges, then they give the win to my opponent just because they were local. But I never had one fight on my career that you can see, like, yeah, he got dominated. JC loved this fight, like, he got his ass whooped. Now, 0 fights like that. So that thing happened. And right after that, I keep fighting. I fought a couple of the tough guys. And I did my boxing debut.
Chris Lytle, can you please say about that fight? Then we can transition to boxing. Chris Lytle, bare knuckle, please.
Chris Lytle, yes, definitely. Well, this is how it happened, because I started boxing. Like, I started actually boxing, like, 2018-19. And then I said, you know what? I want to do my boxing debut. I feel like my boxing got a lot better. Like, my last MMA fight, I didn't feel too comfortable in my boxing. But right now, I feel I've been putting a lot of time on my boxing, and I feel my boxing got better. So I went to do my boxing debut, and I did my boxing debut. I knocked out my opponent first round, knockout. And then I felt confident. Then I heard that they started doing a brand new bare knuckle boxing. I was like, oh man, I want to do that. Bare knuckle boxing, that sounds interesting. And then I started watching some bare knuckle boxing, and one of the first guys that I saw was Chris Lytle. Like he's doing bare knuckle boxing. Like that's crazy. Because I used to watch Chris Lytle back in the days when he used to fight MMA with Diaz brothers. Yeah, he got like a really good boxing. Like in the UFC, Lytle was one of the best strikers whenever he was fighting.
Mr. Weaving, that's how I call him, you know. I'm left-handed, but I call Chris Mr. Weaving, you know. That's what was he doing all the time.
So whenever I started watching the bare knuckle boxing, he was one of the first guys that I started seeing like popping up because I guess he already had like two bare knuckle boxing fights. And then I heard David Feldman. He contacted me directly. He gave me a call and he said, JC, I wanna give you a fight. How about Chris Lytle? And I was like, let's fucking do it, man. I'm fucking down. Let's go. So he told me, how much do you want? And I said, give me this much. I said, okay, let's do it. So we agreed to it. And he said the fight is gonna be Mexico versus US. I was like, okay, sounds good. I mean, I live in the US, but I was born in Mexico, and I don't mind representing either or. It's fine because I live here, and I was born there. And three of my students ended up fighting on the same event. Three of my students, the Ceci Ulloa, she fought Greg Rollins. I got La Roca, Ivan La Roca. He was, I think, the first fight of the night. And myself. So it was three of us fighting in the Mexico team. And so whenever we went to the event, David Feldman told me, like, well, I've been watching you box lately, and I think you might win this fight. And I told David Feldman, what do you mean you think? I'm going to win this fight. First round knockout, homie. And he told me, I don't know about first round knockout. Like, nobody has knocked out Chris Lytle, like, ever. In all his UFC fights, he's never been finished, like, never been knocked out, ever. And I was like, well, the thing is, he never fought me. That's why. And he said, I don't know, JC. Who you might know? He said, I don't know, JC. And I told him, you want to bet? I told Feldman, you want to bet? And he said, how much you want to bet? I bet you my whole purse I'm going to knock him out the first round. And he was like, what? I don't know, man. Like, let's just bet half. He said, let's just bet half of it. And I was like, okay, let's bet half. And he said, it has to be in the first round or you lose. I said, yeah, let's do it. First round knockout. I didn't know the rounds were going to be 2 minutes. But I found out that it was going to be 2 minute rounds. 5 rounds or 2 minutes in bare knuckle. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then we agreed to different percentage. She said, like, if you knock him out, just if you knock him out, I give you a bonus. If you knock him out in the first round, I triple your purse, he said. I triple it because he didn't believe I can knock him out. But if you lose, you're going to lose this much. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So we got press conference. I love Chris Lytle. He's a great guy, man. Like, I have nothing but respect for that guy. And but I told him when we were like talking with each other in the press conference, I told him, like, look, I grew up watching you, man, and I think you are an amazing fighter. You're a good fighter. And it hurts me. It hurts me that I'm going to knock you out, man. It hurts me. And so the fight happened, man. We start going at it. Dude, oh, my God, the first punch I land, I click and right in the jaw. Like, he starts going at him, and he threw a left hook. And whenever he threw a left hook, I lean back, and I throw a right cross. And I click and right here with my right hand, and he went like that. I felt like I got him, and he was like wobbly. So I went forward, I throw a combo, pop, 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 pop. That guy can take a punch, man. That guy can take a punch because I landed like a bunch of solid straight punches. He was standing. And something I started developing, my lead jumping uppercuts. Like going forward, leaning back and coming with my lean uppercut. He ate those all night. If you see the fight, my left lead uppercut, my right lead uppercut, he was just like going like that every time I throw my lead uppercut. Like he was eating all my uppercuts. And I was like, dude, how can he take those punches? Like I was dropping everybody that I was sparring with, I was dropping people with those. Like how can he take and bare knuckle? And but he did. He survived the first round. And we went the second round, third round, and on the, what was it? I think on the third round, my hand started hurting, man. Like, I don't know if you ever done bare knuckle boxing. Every punch that you land, it hurts your hand. My hands were swollen. My hands were freaking swollen. Like, it hurts to punch. But the adrenaline, I guess, it stopped me for, like, stop punching. Like, I was keep throwing, but on the back of my head, I was like, man, why my hands hurt too much? And couple times I throw punches and I hit the head or I hit the elbows or I hit like the side of the arm. And when I was hitting bone to bone, it was my hands were hurting. But I felt like I'm winning by points, man. Like, I have a really, really angle movement. When I was punching, pop, 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 angle, move. Pop, 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 angle, move. Lean back. And whenever he attacked, pop, 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 angle, move. Just like that. And on my head, I'm like, I know I'm winning. Everybody in the crowd, like all the people in the crowd, they were screaming my name. JC, everybody. And whenever the round was finished, all 5 rounds, I was so confident. He gave me a hug. He told me it was a good fight, man. Like, good fight. I raised my hand because I knew I won. And I went to my corner. And then the judges, the winner by unanimous decision, Chris Lytle. I was like, what? No freaking way. Everybody from the crowd, everybody started booing. Everybody. And he came and told me, it was a close fight, man. It could go either way, but I thought you had it. Like, on my head, I was like, I know I had it. I won that fight.
I also think you won that fight. I watched that fight. I don't know bare knuckle rules. I will be honest with you. I don't know bare knuckle rules. I know MMA rules, you know, from toe to toe. From head to toe, I know MMA rules. But in bare knuckle, you were pushing the pace. So if the guy who doesn't push the pace doesn't win, no problem. But you were the guy who was pushing the pace.
And I landed like something I know. I do this technique, but not technique. It's more like a something that knows that keeps me ahead. For example, if I'm fighting you and you land one punch on my head, I have to catch up to you. What do that means? You land one, I have to give you 2 or 3. Pa pa pa. If you land 2 more, I have to give you 6 now. Pa 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 pa. I have to land it. So I know every time you punch me, I have to punch you back, so I stay ahead of the punches. So I have that mentality. Like, the moment he punched me once and he landed that punch,
do you hear me?
And I don't stop until I land it, until I'm ahead.
Do you hear me?
And that's basically one of my mentality when I'm boxing, or when I'm I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. So, going back to what I told you, like, whenever somebody punches me, I have to punch them back so I can be ahead of point on the point card. That's the mentality I had. And I know I was winning by a lot of punches, like by a lot of punches. But it happened, man. They give it to him, and I was a little upset about it because it was my first time fighting in my country, and versus a big name, and I felt that they robbed me bad, man. I felt like, wow, this is messed up. Like, the story of my life, man. Like, some of my biggest fights, I get robbed. Just, I don't know why. Like, I get robbed. Like, the reality show, Bellator, bare knuckle, like, I get robbed, and I'm kind of getting used to it already. It sucks, but it is what it is.
Yeah. All right. Can you call the controversial fight? You had one more bare knuckle controversial fight. The last fight you had.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So after I fought Chris Lytle, I started training, and Combat Americas asked me to fight, and I said, yeah, I'm down. Come main event. So I went to fight. It was in Fresno versus a guy named Ivan Castillo. So whenever they called me for that fight, I also had Richard Goodman. He's the matchmaker for Valor Bare Knuckle. He called me and said, hey, JC, would you interested in fighting Bare Knuckle? It's a new organization. It's called Valor Bare Knuckle from Ken Shamrock. It's big. He's playing all the details. And I was like, man, that sounds really nice, but I'm gonna be honest. I signed a contract with Combat Americas to fight in like 3 weeks, and if you're okay, I can fight for you guys. But I'm gonna be honest. I already signed a contract with Combate, and the fight in Combate was in August, and the fight in Bernaco was in September. So it was like a 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks separation day. So on my head, okay, let's do it. I'm gonna fight for Combate. I'm not gonna get hit, and then I'm gonna fight for Bernaco. And something I guess it's kind of stupid from my part. I know my jiu-jitsu is really good. I can take anybody to the ground and finish him. I know I can do that. But my ego, my own pride, it wants me to stand up and bang and kick and punch. Like I don't know why. I like it. I like it. I know I can have less damage and we fight easily, a lot easier if I just take him to the ground and submit them. So I was, you know what? I want to fight Bernaco, and they were paying me really good. Bernaco, they offered me really good money. So I was, you know what? I'm gonna fight Combate. I'm gonna win my fight fast and quick. First round, the less damage possible, and then go do my Bernaco fight. So I fought in the Combat Americas. It was on the co-main event, televised on the zone worldwide. And I fought this guy. I supposed to fight a different guy, but my opponent chicken out. He said he couldn't fight, so they give me another opponent like week and a half before the fight. So I said, yeah, that's fine. Let's do it. So I ended up fighting this guy. I punched him, took him down, ground and pound him, knocked him out. 1 minute and 38 seconds. He didn't hit me, not even once. So I was like, perfect. Let's do the next one, bare knuckle. So that day, I signed the contract with Balo Bernaco, and I say, let's do it. And they told me, well, this is the opponent. His name is Mike Royman. Richman. Royman, same thing. So whenever I posted, I didn't know who he was. And I posted on Instagram, I'm fighting this day versus a guy named Mike Richman. A lot of his friends from his old camp where he used to train, they told me, hey, bro, be careful with this guy because he always on steroids. He got caught in Bellator for steroids. He got suspended for 2 years, but he's been using that thing for his whole life, bro. So be careful with that guy. Make sure he's clean whenever you fight him. His own friends. So I started investigating a little bit. So I went online, and then I found out that he was doing a bunch of stuff, like to train, to cut weight, to not feel pain, to last longer. Like he was just doing a lot of illegal things. So then, Ballard, the organization, he tagged me on one of the posts that they had, and he was talking smash about me. He was saying like, oh, I'm fighting some guy named Llamas, and he's go by the name of the King is Back. That's when the King is Back hashtag or name started, because I fight in Combat Americas. And Combat Americas, that's when I did my reality show, the TV reality show. So whenever I fought back for Combat Americas again, I was posting, the King is Back, because I was the first fighter for Combat Americas, the first one, and I destroyed the division on the reality show. I won the challenges, and even though they give the win to the other guy, I won the fight. So they use my face, my name, to promote the reality show worldwide. You see my face billboards everywhere. They use my name, my face, to promote the show digitally, physically. I was basically the face of Combat Americas. So because of that, I started putting the King is Back in Combat America. Nothing to do with my Richmond, nothing to do with anything. It was just a phrase that I used for the reality show that I was fighting for. So he starts saying, my Richmond, he starts saying like, oh, he's saying the King is back. Yeah, that's right, motherfucker. I'm the king. I'm gonna knock his ass. So he starts talking trash. I didn't say anything. I kept it to myself, and then he went online and he started posting a bunch of things on Instagram and Facebook, saying that this guy, for Mexican, his boxing is trash. His boxing sucks. He's a Mexican and he don't know how to box. He was watching my old fights. Like, I didn't know how to box. I'm gonna be honest. I started boxing maybe like 3-4 years ago. Maybe like 3 years when I started actually boxing, like learning how to box. My first years of boxing, I did my boxing debut. I won first round. The same year, I fought Chris Lytle. I outboxed a striker, one of the best strikers in the UFC back in the days. I outboxed him. So how he's talking shit about like my boxing sucks, you know what I mean? So I got to the point that, you know what, I'm not gonna take this anymore. I'm not gonna let this punk disrespect me in social media. So I posted too. My Richmond, what do I know about my Richmond? Well, I know he does steroids. That's very much what I know. Besides that, I have no idea. I don't know who he is, but I know he does steroids. So we had a lot of beef online, back and forth, back and forth. He started tracking trash, I started tracking back, and we got to the fight. So whenever we got to the fight, we started throwing punches. And I told him, like, you too slow, man. You way too slow for me. You can't hit me. You're too slow. And if you see the fight, he couldn't hit me, man. Now, another thing. This is crazy. And you can ask any of the fighters from Malo Bernacle. We didn't know where we're going to fight. We didn't know if it was going to be a pit. We didn't know if it was going to be a ring, a cage. We have no idea until the day of the fight. The day of the fight, they told us the rules. They explained, like, well, this is what you cannot do. This is what you can do. There's no ropes. This is that. And I asked the referee, can we do a Superman punch? And he said yes. Can you do a spinning back fist? He said yes. So a lot of rules, they're not like boxing, but basically they were making the rules as it goes. And I asked a lot of the promoters, can I get the list of all the rules so I make sure I don't break any of the rules? I'm not a cheater. I want to make sure whatever is in the rules, I go by that. And they didn't have it. Or they say they did, but I asked them like at least like 5, 6, 7, 8 times, never got it. Until like recently, like maybe like 4 months ago. And then they told me like, you can fight, it's in the pit. And there's like a black area outside the pit. You can go outside for 1 second and come back right away. But if you stay for more than 2 seconds, they're going to stop the fight. So I said, okay, but I can like go out, in and out. Because on my head, I was like, I'm going to run outside, do a jump on the black side, and do a Superman punch and a spinning back fist or something. And the referee said, yeah, that's fine. Just make sure you go back in right away. So I said on my head, we can step outside the pit for 1 second and come back. Then whenever I was doing that, they just stopped it. The moment I step outside, they just stopped the fight. And then they started telling me, like, you can't do that. I was like, you did say that. Like, you did told me, like, we 1 step and come back inside. It's okay. That's what you told me. So I was a little confused in that part of the rule set. Now, whenever we were fighting, I had a different mentality because I noticed on my first bare knuckle fight, if you go forward when you hit up, you can get caught. A simple jab can catch you open. So on my mentality this time, I was like, I'm gonna go down with my head low. If he hit me, he hit the top of my head. I cannot go like a regular boxing. I can't because a jab will cut you open. So I tried to keep my head down, looking up, but with my head down in case he hit me in the face, he ended up hitting the crown of my head. So I started doing that, swinging, boom, boom, and then moving back. And I was landing. I think I landed 16 punches, and out of those 16 punches, 12 were clean. His cheek was swollen. Both of his side, his lip was busted, his nose, his eyebrow, and his forehead. So out of all the punches that he threw, he only landed one, right in the eyebrow, a little bit. And I was bleeding a little bit in the eyebrow. And that's it. Out of all the punches he threw, he only landed one. I know he was getting frustrated and everything. So my cornerman, he told me 10 seconds. So whenever he told me 10 seconds, I also hear the clap, clap, the thing that they do for the 10-second time. And then if you see the video, if you actually go and watch the video on the big screen, it has a timer, like it has the time left. They have the fight, and in the corner it has the time, how many seconds are left. Okay, so they did it like click, click, and you see 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. They didn't they didn't click the horn or the green. They didn't. They let it go for another like 3 to 5 seconds. And in those 3 to 5 seconds, that's when he threw the punch. After the time was over, he threw the punch, and I ducked. And whenever he threw the punch, he did this and hugged me. And whenever he hugged me, we raised heads. Like it wasn't like a clean shot, but we bounced heads like that, sideways. I think it was like this and like this, like twice, like this. Yes, I think that's the right. Yeah, with his right side, he threw the punch and he went like this and went back to this side, and they clicked me right by the eyebrow, right there. That's when I was bleeding. And then I didn't know it was bad. I just told the referee like, hey, he kept biting me, and I felt the intention that he did it on purpose, because why out of a sudden he jumped at me like that? Like the whole time he was just doing this. The whole time he was just doing this. And then whenever he heard the 10 seconds, why he jumped at me and tried to hug me? Like why? So in my head I was like, I know he did it on purpose. So I felt like the bad intentions. He kept biting me on purpose. A lot of people say like he didn't do it on purpose, but if you watch the whole fight, he didn't do that the whole fight until the end. And on top of that, the time was over. I know it's not his fault that the time was over and they didn't hit the time in the ringer, but it was the timekeeper's fault as well, because that fight couldn't continue another round. So whenever he kept biting me, I went to my corner and I told the referee like, that motherfucker he kept biting me on purpose. And I didn't know I was bleeding. Like I didn't know like it was bad. I just told the referee like, I'm gonna get them back. I'm gonna get this motherfucker back. And then they called the doctors, and I was like, oh my God, please don't stop it. Like in my head, like this is like the story of my life. If the doctors step in the cage, they're gonna freaking stop the fight. So they got inside, and the doctor, she kept doing this, like open my cut, like doing this. Yeah, it's too deep, and then back and forth doing this. It's too deep. Oh no. Like every time she open it, blood like just flushes down. So I told her like, just put Vaseline, I'm fine. Just put Vaseline, I'm fine. So the referee said like, well, it was considered a headbutt. For some reason, they stopped the fight. This fight is gonna be a no contest. I was like, no, what do you mean stop the fight? I'm gonna get him back. Like on my head, I was gonna get him back. So I got up, let's go. And then the doctor said like, wait. And she called the other doctor. I guess it was 2 doctors there. And then she said, open it. And she opened it again. And then a lot of blood came down, and they got into my eyes. And I was doing this because it was into my eye. And I told my cornerman, bring me the towel. I don't want to go fight with blood in my eye. Give me the towel. So they came and bring me the towel. I cleaned my eyes, and I told, just put Vaseline, I'm fine. Just put Vaseline. And then the doctor said like, no, he can't fight like that. He can't, no. And I was like, no, I'm fine, let's go. And they're like, no, that's it. And then the referee said like, no more fight. I was so pissed, and he came and apologized to me. He came and to me like, he was like, hey, it wasn't intentionally, okay? I was so pissed, and I said, fuck you, motherfucker, you did it on purpose. You went like this, you did that on purpose. I was so pissed. And then he started getting mad at me too. He's like, fuck you too, blah, blah, blah. So we started arguing about him. And then the referee, the announcer, I feel like he was very biased against me since the beginning. He was asking me about what am I going to do to my opponent, all the details, like what I've been training, what is my counter. I didn't want to tell him anything because I felt that he was just investigating me to tell him or giving some information. So I just kept it simple. But I noticed he was very biased, very biased against me. So when the fight started, when the announcer came and bring us in, he told me, so JC, about the headbutt, like if you see the camera, it doesn't show that he hit you. And I was like, yes, right there. And then in slow motion the camera, and then look, and you can see it was like a bouncer head. And then I told him like, right there. And he's like, "Boy, that looks like it's just a grace." I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean just a grace? That's the cut right there." And I was like, "You know what? I didn't stop the fight. I'm down to fight." And I grabbed the microphone and I told everybody, "Let them fight." Everybody started screaming like, "Let them fight. Let him continue to fight." And I guess they didn't allow that to happen. And that was it, man. And he was in the backstage getting stitches, and I was getting stitches too. And we almost got another fight in the casino. after everybody got stitched out, it was considered not contest. I was at the bar with one of my friends, and they asked me like, "What happened? Like, why did you stop the fight?" And I was like, honestly, I wanted to fight. I didn't know how big was the cut. I wanted to continue to fight. Maybe it wasn't intentionally. I felt that it was intentionally. But whatever the case is, I was ready to fight. And he was behind me, bro, talking shit, like listening to whatever I was saying. And he was drunk. I don't know if he was drunk or not, but he started like asking like, "Fight, let's go, motherfucker, let's go." And everybody wanted to see me fight with him in the casino, right outside the fight, right in the same fight, just in the casino in the bar area. So we almost got in a fight. The police guys came by, the security guards came by, and they told me, "No, just go, bro. It's not worth it. It's not worth it." So the promoter told me like, "We gotta have a rematch, you guys. You two wanna have a rematch, and whoever wins this rematch is gonna fight for the title, the light heavyweight world title for Valor Bernacco." So I'm down. Let's do it. I'm gonna finish this guy this time. So then the fight got canceled. It's supposed to be in January something, because the event where they were gonna fight, they got some fire regulations issues. Like they couldn't set up the event there in January 11, I think. So it got postponed for April. And then with this COVID-19 thing, the whole thing went to hell. But hopefully it happens again.
Yeah, outstanding. And out of the activities, you also filmed the album, you are working on a new book, and your BJJ career, you're holding great rankings, you're a single father. Can you tell a bit on that? And that would be it for the interview. Go for it.
Okay, well, I'm working on my new album. You can see some of my previews on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JT Llamas MMA. This album is really good. I have for people that doesn't know me, I've been doing music for like 17, 18 years. I write music for big name artists. I produce music as well. I create my own beats. I create my own music editing, videos and everything. And I have a new album coming up. It's called From Ashes to Flames. Ashes to Flames is like from nothing to something. But Flames is my last name, Llamas. So it's in Spanish. It's like a double meaning, from nothing to Llamas, from nothing to something. And the same thing, my book, it has the same name, From Ashes to Flames. And it talks about my story, my life story, how I started fighting, about my grandma, my life, how I got into music, basically all of that. And the book is probably going to be out in maybe September, and the album at the end of July. The album is already done. We're just working in some little details, but it's actually really good, man. I can wait for the album to be out there, because this album is probably one of the best I have done during my years. And I've been getting a lot of good feedbacks about big name celebrities, like huge name celebrities. So I might sign a deal with a big company. I'm just waiting for the contracts and everything. But this album is gonna be everywhere in the world. Everywhere in the world. The music is really nice, and I can wait for it. And the reason why I do all of this, fighting, music, acting, is for my son. I have a 3-year-old son. He's gonna be 4 years old next week, man. He's gonna be 4 in June 1st, and he's the reason why I work so hard, man. He's the reason why I keep grinding. I keep trying to get better every day, so I can live by example. Like one day, whenever I get old, he's gonna be like, "You know what? My pops was amazing. My pops taught me how to live life. He didn't tell me how to do it. He showed me, and then he lived life. And I wanna set up an example for him." I'm grateful, man. I'm blessed. I'm surrounded by a lot of love. I'm surrounded by a lot of amazing people. My students, man. I have a lot of people that always watch my back when my eyes are closed. My students are amazing. I'm building champions, boxing, MMA, Jiu Jitsu fighters. kids that never fight in their life. Right now, they're world champions, and I'm so happy, bro, that I'm able to inspire transcendency. I'm able to guide people with my gifts. With my grinding, I learned that things only work out if you put time and effort to it. So I've been putting a lot of time, and I've been leading by example. So I want my students to understand that part. I want my students to be great, and I just feel blessed, man. Like all the people I'm around, I'm surrounded by loving people, and I'm thankful and grateful for that.
Outstanding. Just outstanding. You have great BJJ career. You have your own academy. You're living your own dream. Got to say, well, you're a lot more but a regular fighter. Well, way to go. A lot of achievements. A lot of achievements. I'm pretty much impressed.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate for your interview, for all the love and support, and I can't wait, man, to see the whole interview. I'm really happy, and thank you as well for this great interview, and I hope we can get another one soon, man.
Absolutely, no problem. Just hit me up. I'm always down for it. Thank you so much for this, and I will publish probably on Friday or maybe tomorrow, as I'm not home right now. Tomorrow or Friday I will publish.
Thank you, and make sure everybody follow me on my social media at JC Llamas MMA on my Instagram, JC Llamas on Facebook, and Twitter as well, JC Llamas. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, JC Llamas MMA, where you can see my fights, my acting, my music, my break dancing, my skateboarding, basically everything that I do, everything is there. Thank you so much for everything.
Outstanding. I will post the links to your social media in the description so everybody will be able to see it. I will message you when I finish.
Appreciate it.
Alright, thank you so much. Have a great day.